Welcome. Scott here. Here is a quick boss guide for the upcoming story chapter, Act 3 Interlude in a Goddess World. The chapter will introduce us to a new character, which is Neon from Final Fantasy Stranger of Paradise. The event synergy units are Neon, Cait Sith, 9, Cloud of Darkness, Vanille and Fran. Neon's entire kit will be making their debut. She will also be getting her FR boards. Cloud of Darkness will be getting her FR boards. We will be fighting 2 Ogre, which has 100 million HP each. They are weak against fire. The turn requirement is 65. The HP requirements is 10,000. Before I continue further, here is a small disclaimer clause for the video. The guide is written based on the time that the event was released for the Japanese version. Please do note that it is possible that the boss fight mechanics might differ when the actual event is released in global. Like most other Shinryu fights, the boss gains increased brave damage and gain resistances at start of the fight and 79% HP threshold. Bringing a support like Lunafreya, Charlotta, Aerith, Ramza, Yuna, Iroha, Pernello, Garnet, Selpha that grants damage boosting aura will make your fight easier. As the boss gains substantial boost to their defenses with the auras, it is important to inflict debuffs that lower their defenses. On the screen I have listed down the key utility that you can consider when forming your party for this fight. This is an elemental lockout stage where the boss will absorb more elements as its force gauge is building up. It absorbs water, thunder, and ice by default. When its force gauge is 40% and above, it will start to absorb earth and wind. When its force gauge is 80% and above, it will absorb holy and dark. The boss will also activate a counter stance, which is indicated by a blue aura where they will counter all elements except for fire. Now let's look into the key utility that you will need for the fight. You can bring magic damage dealer units that are either non-elemental or fire-based. For non-elemental magic damage dealers, you can consider bringing Rinoa, Cloud of Darkness, Yuna, Terra, or Charlotta. For fire units, you can bring Neon, Vraska, and Vivi, who should be releasing in the following event. You can enchant fire on the party with Neon, Lulu, or Ignis. The fight features a lot of guaranteed hit AoE HP attacks. You can bring Warrior of Light, 9, Bash and Zack for your damage mitigation needs. To cancel the force weakness, you need to inflict a stacking debuff with level 5 and above. Examples of units that inflict such debuffs are Neon, Fran, Sync, Jack, Kaduch or Kurasame. Be mindful of the ice nullification if you are bringing Kurasame Call. You need to bring mechanics that can bypass elemental resistances with units that provide brave gains on brave hits or brave cap damage. The units that offer this unit are Charlotta, Cait Sith, Fusoya and Pernello. Overall, this is not a tough fight if you have mechanics to handle the fight. If you are bringing other elemental units, make sure you inflict the elemental imperil debuff on the boss so that their attacks will not get absorbed. You can also make use of Lulu LDCA or Neon BT Aura to True Fire enchant your party to enable other elemental units for this fight. As we are no longer have Vanilla Plus fights, the boss guide will be focused primarily on Shinryu fights. In Shinryu, you need to understand the effects gained by the boss as the force gauge build up, its force ability and its force time effect. If you don't bring any force chargers, it is highly certain that the boss force gauge will build up faster than yours. To have a better understanding on the basics of the force gauge mechanics and Shinryu fights, I have done a video explaining the mechanics. I have included the link to the video under the comments and video description for your quick reference. Throughout the fight, the boss has a permanent force gauge properties that will allows the boss to absorb any elemental brave damage that are ice, thunder, and water. When the force gauge is at 40% or higher, the boss will gain additional elemental absorption to wind and earth elements. When the force gauge is at 80% or higher, the boss will gain additional elemental absorption to holy and dark elements. The boss force gauge will build up faster as its HP is lowered. You can refer to the table on the screen for the percentages. At the 100% threshold, the boss will use Power Attack ++, which is a reset break status, followed by a guaranteed hit AoE Brave plus HP attack. The boss will gain 100% attack up framed buff for 5 turns. Upon using the Force ability, the boss will enter into its Force time where the gauge will start to emit a red hue with a counter of 4 on its gauge. When the Force time is activated, the boss will gain the following enhancements whenever the boss will recover 90% of the HP damage they received. In other words, your damage will be reduced to 10%. To deal Force weakness on the boss which will cancel Force time, you need to use a magic Fire FR ability and the boss needs to be inflicted with a stacking debuff that has 5 stacks and above. For the first condition, you can bring a magic FR and enchant the party with fire. If you are using non-fire magic FR, you can use Lulu LDCA or Neon BT Aura to bypass it. For the second condition, you can meet it with Neon, Fran, Sync, Jack from Type 0 or Kaduch. Do note that Kaduch needs to be in the party while the other options will also work if you are using them as a LDCA. Now let's go through the fight key mechanics. The fight is divided generally in 3 phases and it depends on whether the boss will be activating the blue aura. It will activate the blue aura upon adopting taken a defensive posture stance. The activation trigger is at the 89% and 39% HP threshold. The posture will be temporarily deactivated when the boss HP reaches 69%. When the stance is activated, the boss will emitting a dark blue aura. They will gain 100% speed up and an additional 80% brave damage resistance. It will counter any elemental attack that is not fire with Counter Whirl Slash. Counter Whirl Slash is a reset break status, inflict break, brave gain followed by a guaranteed hit AoE brave plus HP attack. It will also delay all target turns by 1 turn. You can abuse this counter in off-turn FR setup as it will grants the boss more turns, thus more chances for off-turn damage. Be mindful of the guaranteed break inflict and you will probably want to minimize the boss brave damage or freeze their brave gains if you want to handle their counters. Shields buffs or non-elemental tanks are probably the best options to handle these counter attacks. The boss has generally 2 basic moves in their moveset. All the basic moves used by the boss are guaranteed hit and they will rotate between the 2. Whirl Slash Plus is a guaranteed hit AoE brave attack which grants 50% brave damage up to the boss that is executing the move. Power Attack is a guaranteed hit AoE brave plus HP attack. It will also inflict 30% HP damage taken up debuff for 5 turns on all targets. As the fight is a heavily elemental lockout stage, here are some additional tips for your consideration when tackling this fight. All elements will be absorbed until you inflict the Imperil debuff. Inflicting the Imperil debuff will result your party to do null brave damage, but you can still damage the boss with brave gains. The easiest method is to bring a party of non-elemental or fire units, which I have listed on the screen. If you are bring other elemental units, you need to use units that can bypass brave damage resistance mechanics like Charlotta, Cait Sith, or Fuso Yat. The easiest method is to use Rainbow Brave cap damage with Neon, Setzer, Jegran, or Core. Do note that Jegran's Brave cap damage is only for himself while Core only grants a 40% chance of Rainbow during his Force time. Neon can enable Brave cap damage as long as the party is dealing fire damage and her Fire of Rage stacks is at least at level 6. If you have him built, Leon is a good utility unit to convert the boss brave damage to absorb them and pay back the boss with the taste of their own medicine. Alternatively, you can also bypass elemental absorption with Lulu LDCA or have Lulu in the party. Before I end the guide, let's cover a bit on the featured FR unit. As Neon is a newly released character, let's cover a bit on her kit. Generally, she is a fire magic damage dealer. When fully geared and equipped with max ultima weapon, she can solo some of the game's toughest Shinryu stages like Dimension and Transcendence Tier 10. She is a party fire enchanter with her A for 7 turns and offer true fire enchant with her BT aura. She can enable Brave Cap damage or Rainbow as long as the following two conditions are met. Her stacking debuff Fire of Rage is at stack 6 and above and your party is dealing fire damage. The stacking debuff will goes down when an allies take a turn but will retain on Neon's turn if Neon's overhead buff Fiend of Fire is active. Neon can bring the stacking debuff to level 10 with the use of her LD. Her S1 Azura is an instant turn, free turn single target Brave plus HP attack where it will inflict the Fire of Rage stacking debuff for 6 turns. Fire of Rage debuff will grants 5% HP damage up per level and up to the maximum of 30% from level 6 onwards. Her S2 Inferno is an AoE Brave plus HP attack that grants her overhead buff Fiend of Fire along one stack of Fire of Rage debuff. When the overhead buff is active, her Fire or Rage debuff stacks doesn't go down on Neon's turn. Her EX is an instant turn AoE Brave plus HP attack and inflict 4 stacks Rage of Fire debuff on all targets. It will also grant 2 free ability uses after using it. It will also gain Neon her framed buff Entrusted Black Crystal Power which grants her Brave Regen that scales of 10% of her max Brave, attack up and stolen max Brave overflow. Her LD Fiend of Fire is a single target Brave plus HP attack with 50% splash that inflicts 10 level of Rage of Fire. You should always open up with this skill use. Her BT grants the party True Fire enchant to the party, grants the party 20% HP damage up and raises all the damage cap. Her FR is an AoE Brave plus HP attack that will inflict 5 stacks of Rage of Fire. Now let's briefly go through the force condition of her FR. 1. You will get 20% HP damage bonus upon dealing fire damage. Neon can make this condition easily for the party with her fire enchant by using her AA or True Fire enchant with her BT aura. 2. Dealing at least 9,999 Brave damage will get 30% HP damage bonus upon fulfilling the condition. You can meet this condition easily as long as Rage of Fire debuff stacks are at level 6 and above along with party-wide fire enchant. Any unit with Lufania HG armor should be able to meet this conditions albeit the fight Brave resistance mechanics. 3. Attacking an enemy with an inflicted level-based debuff will get you another 20% HP damage bonus. Moving forward, any new unit that are released will need all weapon passives including the burst weapon. Being magic DPS, Neon deals very heavy damage and she needs all her weapon passives and enhancement boards along with a maxed Ultima weapon. When you meet all conditions of her force time, you will get 70% HP damage bonus per turn. With that, she can solo one of the toughest Shinryu in Dimensions and Transcendence Tier 10. She doesn't offer a lot to the party other than being a fire enchanter and enable the party to deal Rainbow Brave damage if you meet the two conditions. Her Rage of Fire stacks is at level 6 and above and the party is dealing fire damage. With this, I have come to the end of my boss guide presentation. Hopefully you find it useful. If you like the video, please give a like. Please subscribe to my channel for future gaming content. Good luck for the fight in the coming days. Bye.